Hey everybody, welcome to the 24-Hour Marketing Mastermind. We are so glad that you are here. We hope you have your favorite beverage or your favorite vape. And I'm super excited because today we're going to be tackling a really important subject, which I think everybody should listen to. If you're in business or you're thinking about starting business or you just want to get going. And we're going to be talking about a lot of things today. But I have a formula that I believe could help somebody. But before we get into that, I just wanted to take you guys down memory lane. Now, I was handed this the other day. I went to go and see my sister on the weekend for Easter. I spent the day with my sister and her family and the Outlaws. And I went to go and see how everybody was doing. And everyone's doing great. And I actually, because I took the whole weekend off, I was like, I'm going to relax. I'm going to catch up on my sleep. I'm going to spend more time with my friends and my family and that type of thing. So I took a long sleep and I caught up on what feels like years of sleep. It was just amazing. I went to go and see my sister, and she has these nieces and nephews of mine. And, her kids were saying to me, "Oh, wow, it's the first time Uncle Dave has visited and hasn't taken a sleep." Because usually my times are so mixed up that I sleep during the day. So when I go up and see my sister, it's just exhausting for me. So I spend a bit of time there, and then I just go to a room and I just pass out because I'm so tired. And even my nieces and nephews were saying, "Uncle Dave hasn't slept. Is everything okay?" Like they were woke enough to actually see that. And just before I left, I was given something. Now, for those of you who don't know, in my history, I have been known as a guy who fixes stuff. When I was 10 years old, I fixed an electric carving knife that was given to me. It was broken and I fixed it. I remember my dad once handed me a toaster that he had stripped to bits trying to fix, and he couldn't, for the life of him, fix it. He gave it to me. A few hours later, I put it together and it was working. And so my sister hands me this. ohmyhat.com / what the hell is this I'm holding? It's a tape recorder. It is a Blaupunkt, and it's broken. And they asked me to fix it. I mean, I'm just thinking the 1980s called and they want their tape recorder back. But goodness me, that took me down memory lane. I'm thinking, reel to reel, because I've even played with those things. So I had a fairly interesting time this weekend. And I'll tell you a little bit more about something else. But before we get into that, let's go over to our panel, see how everybody's doing. And so I want to, Pops, you over there, how are you doing? I believe is everything okay? Are you seeing double? Because you showed me something earlier. Because Pops is having a nice little beverage on the side there. Pops, how are you doing? Where are you right now? Are you in a casino?
No, actually, it's a restaurant in Lakeland, Florida. About 20 minutes from where we're camped at. And the internet is kind of unstable in our campground, so we found this place. And they're really great people, allow us to hang out here. We're going to be doing this here tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday, and possibly Thursday and Friday, and on and on and on, because it's the only place we can be assured of a good, solid internet. And we're doing great. It was a beautiful day yesterday. We had some rain, well-needed rain around here, actually, but it was really cool. We haven't had rain in our camper very often, and this one was a good one. A lot of wind and lightning and thunder, and it was kind of awesome. Like storms. It's fun. Fortunately, it didn't get too out of hand, but it was fun.
That's good. That's awesome. And I got to say, what does it feel like? I'll go to Katie next because, it just feels like it flows in this conversation. But what does it feel like sitting down, opening up your computer and speaking when strangers are around you? I mean, surely that's a little bit airy when people are like oh, and they see you doing this, and it's kind of like when you see somebody across the road and they get stung by a bee, and you see them freaking out for no reason, and you think they're a mental person, or they walk into a spider's web and they go like this. What?
Actually, we feel as though the louder we speak and the more clearly we speak on something like this, somebody's going to come up and ask for the link, right? It's inevitable.
Yeah. So, Katie, your thoughts?
Hold on, I'm still laughing. I've never seen Dave's arms flail so much. It's so funny. But yeah, you know what? I used to be so shy about speaking about what I do. In the very beginning, actually the first couple of years, I was really shy about it, and I was actually afraid to go to family functions and say, you know, I have to talk about it because I didn't know exactly what I did. That was the problem. Until I got clarity is when I feel more comfortable. And actually, nowadays it's so common to have something, a little side hustle or a little something, you know, like to make money online and stuff. So it's like, it's really cool. It's like really cool to actually be open to it and speak with, what is that? Speak with
Authority.
not authority, but you know, with conviction.
Charity.
With conviction, and people are like, really, that is cool. But here's I do have to say is that being here, that we've been in Florida for what, 2 months now, Pops? It's been a long time. This is what I've actually learned while in Florida, is that apparently you can distinguish an alligator from a crocodile by paying attention whether the animal sees you later or in a while. Thank you very much.
Okay, cool. That seems logical. You know, all the Vulcans aware. That's great. I hope that that makes sense. Now we are going over to somebody else in the panel who I believe is feeling a little bit under the weather and needs a jolt of electricity to get him going. And I'm just wondering if he's actually there, because I just see him frozen on the one-hand side, and that's Mr. Shaw. Jamie, please, are you taking in fluids? Because you do not look all that well.
Yeah, I'm taking in fluids. You know, it's been a fun, challenging weekend. You know, not only did I come down sick Saturday afternoon, I started coming down sick Friday, but Saturday it really hit me. And yesterday, on top of being sick, Central Illinois got hammered with 6 inches of snow. So we got a white Easter, what you want to call it. So I haven't got a lot done over the weekend because I've been hugging the couch all weekend because I just can't think because I'm all plugged up. It's a sinus cold. I get it every year when the weather changes from warm to hot, because Friday it was like 60 degrees here. Then Saturday, it cooled off in the 40s. And then Sunday it's like below 30 and snowing. So, every year about this time of year I get it. So, I'm not deathly sick, but I'm all congested and feel like I got my head in a bucket, so.
Well, we hope you get better, and because I know when you're sick, you're got to be taking a lot of fluids because you're releasing so much of it also. And, you got to make sure that you keep yourself hydrated. And, we wish you all the best and hope that you get a speedy recovery. But how about this? I mean, talk about a trooper. He's not feeling well. He could have sent me a message, say, Dave, I can't be on here because I'm just deathly sick. But we just appreciate you being here, buddy. And look, if you need a timeout, we completely understand. So guys, keep Jamie in your prayers so he gets a speedy recovery there. We're glad that you're here, buddy. So we've got an interesting subject to cover today. Before we get into that, though, I do want to make everybody aware of a couple of things. And the first one is that every single one of us here on this panel has their own hangout. And you might be thinking, what? What are you talking about? And what I mean is that we have independently owned hangouts, and starting tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, Katie and Pops will be starting their very own brand new independent by themselves hangout, which is going to be super fantastic, awesome, if you can say that. It's going to be terrific. I can't wait to see it myself. And I just want to encourage you guys to get on board and show your support for Katie and Pops as they have their first debut tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that should be a riot because I mean, I can't wait to see it myself. And I just wish you guys everything of the best. I hope you have a terrific time. And I'm sure this is going to be the start to an amazing journey for you guys, or amazing process. Amazing process. I don't like saying journey, because journey is like you don't really know where you're going. Process is an actual form of events that lead to somewhere. But I wish you all the best. And, you know, we're super excited. You want to give us a little teaser of what's actually happening, or you're going to keep that a secret or whatever?
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks. All right, so I don't know if it's easier or better if I cover this just to draw out the sounds, but I was just actually thinking real quick, is I wonder if people think we're playing Battleship, because Pops is right in front of me, and I was doing this, and people are like, oh, she sunk his battleship. Something, I don't know. But anyways, our show is going to be just about our journey in can open it up a bit? Okay, our journey in just the RV life, full-time RV life, and mindset stuff, and marketing tips of our experiences as far as me and Pops. So that's pretty much the tail end of it.
So you almost want to make sure that if you guys are an affiliate with us as well, that you get the affiliate link, and we can always organize to get it to you, because it will be coded as well. And that's what it's all about, is promoting point, don't pander, redirect, don't ramble, get somebody else who knows what they're talking about, and Pops and Katie can do the talking, and that's an amazing thing. So everything of the best, guys, with that. Now, today we're going to be talking about a topic which, quite frankly, can be a very, very daunting for a lot of people when they get into the online biz. And the subject is about finding your passion and turning it into a business. And the reason I say this is because, and I get asked this question nearly on a daily basis. Somebody will contact me and say, Dave, I want to get started. And the first thing that comes out of their mouth straight after that is, when can I make money? Or how can I make money? What's the quickest way I can get a return? How can I make as much money as I possibly can, because I'm investing so much and I want to make sure I can get the return quickly so that I'm in the green. And it frustrates me when I get that type of response, because it shows me that the person who wants to get into the online biz is thinking about the money so much that they're losing sight of why people start a business in the first place. And today I want to cover about how to find your passion, and I want to give you a formula that you can use on how to do that. And this is actionable stuff that you can actually take and use and write down and figure out a way that you can actually use what you love, what you enjoy, because honestly, when you do something that you enjoy, it is far easier to carry on doing it. And I say this as a guy that's failed miserably for 7 years trying to find a way on how he could make money. And I want to tell you a little bit of a story about what I went through. Okay, so when I first got introduced to the idea of making money online, or making some sort of business opportunity online, I have an IT background. I have a little bit of a programming background. I also know how to build basic websites and that sort of thing. And I know how to get just about anything on the internet. And I found out that you can actually make a living online. So the way that I thought you could do it is to go ahead and to find as many courses that you could possibly find. And back then I was doing something when I would try and find the easiest way to get a course, the freest way to get a course, and I could find anything. If you gave me a course that was older than probably 2 years or even a year, I could find it online. I could find a way to get it, and I would download the entire thing, and that was it. That's as far as I got, because the challenge for me was just to get the course. All right. I wasn't buying anything. I wasn't investing any money in it. I was just buying the course. And then when I got the entire course, the challenge was over. So I decided to go ahead and find another one, something more appealing, something more shiny, something more. And I found that I wasn't actually doing anything with the information. My ultimate goal was to find something where I could use and to make some money. And my ultimate goal was to make money. And now when people ask me, how is it that you make money online? And I tell people, look, you know, when I started to actually make money online, I was a very poor accountant. I never kept track of how much money I put into my business, because I lost sight of that, because I started to do something I was passionate about. And the one thing that you'll find when people start doing something they love, the money aspect of it kind of goes into the background. And ultimately that reason is because you understand that it's not about the money. It's not about how much you.
Oh, I think Dave froze. Is it just us? Jamie? Did he freeze on us? Okay, so if he hops out, he'll come right back in. So I think I'll pick up. I don't know exactly the story that he was going to tell. I didn't know it, so hopefully he can come right back up. But go ahead, Pops. All right, so he's probably just going to hop off and then come right back on whenever he gets back up again. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. He amazes himself. He pros himself, right, Ricky? That's funny. I'm reading the comments. But I really wanted to know what his story was. I didn't know what he was going to say. But
I can carry on with that.
What's that? What?
Yeah, he was talking about, you know, losing track of how much he invested in his business and probably self-development. And I can relate to that, because we have done the same thing. I think we have probably spent more on self-development and some tools than we brought in, because we did find our passion in doing what we're doing and sharing all this stuff with people and trying to get people to develop themselves, where you lose track of how much you're investing in it. And there's got to be some kind of a break. Of course, in America, we have to do our taxes, and I have to show how much I've spent and this and that, because I do have a lot of that as write-offs, so I have an idea. But as the year goes on, I don't keep track of it until like bitter end, and then I got to scramble to put it all together. And I actually surprised myself at how much I've actually spent on courses and coaching and other platforms in order to progress the word that I have to get out to people, to try to help people if I can. And I know Jamie has done the same thing, and Katie is definitely doing that. Jamie has put a lot into his business on courses. And actually, Jamie, how about if you give us an idea of how much you have put in, or at least what type of courses you invested in to progress yourself?
Well, I invest in a lot of different things. Like right now, I'm looking at a e-commerce site or an e-commerce business, and I've got a course on it. And I've taken actually a couple copyright courses that I signed up for a long time ago, and I just haven't taken them yet. And stuff like Adobe Premiere Pro, you know, how to do video editing, Adobe After Effects, how to do intro videos, SEO training, mindset training. I invested actually the coaching courses I took, because I took a coaching course, NLP practitioner's course, and NLP master's course. Then I took another coaching course all together just for the one coaching course was 10 parts, and then the other three, that was about $6,000 for those three courses. or those 4 courses. So, I mean, that's stuff, that's the kind of investment I'm investing in myself. And then it transfers over into my business, you know, and a lot of WordPress and Divi courses. I've taken a lot of them too. Some of them are free. Some of them are, you know, they're paid. And, you know, I use that stuff every day, you know, building websites and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm getting return on my investment, you know, and, you know, computer repair classes too. You know, I stay up to date on computer repair because I run a computer repair business out of my home. So, and, you know, I'm starting to go into the website design business too, you know, so, and that'll be out of my house as well. So I have to stay up to date on everything. So I'm always training, and then that translates over into my job too. My job, you know, I'm doing a lot of training and stuff as well because I have to learn new software. We just bought a new software package that I learned in like 2 or 3 days how to get it running. I was familiar with it, but I learned how to use it more efficiently in like 2 or 3 days. So I invest quite a bit in my education and in my business. So.
Okay.
No, go ahead, Dave.
No, it's fine. I was just sorry about that. My connection has been stable for about a day and a half, and now it decides to drop. I don't know what the deal is, but, you know, maybe they watch me going, oh, now he's online. I'll cut him right now. Anyway, yes, as I was saying, you know, if your goal is money, it's not going to work out for you, because ultimately you can't work on that premise, because it gets old. You have a look around you, and you're just wondering why you aren't making this money. And this is why it is so important to find your passion. So what I want to do today is I want to talk about a way how you can actually find your passion and find the reason why you want to do stuff. And I've got two sections here that I want to cover. And the first is a way how you can actually go ahead and find your passion. And the second one is really about how you can actually use that information to turn it into a business, to turn it into something profitable. And I'll be giving you some way that you can look at that. And so the first thing I want to say, and the first thing I want to suggest is I want you to go ahead, and at some point of the day, you can even do it now if you want to, write down a list and maybe share it with us in the comments. All right. I want you to write down what it is that when you are doing it, that you lose track of time. What is it that when you are in this thing that you are doing, where you put your head down, you do it, you put your head up, and suddenly 4 hours have gone past and you have no idea how the time just flew? I want you to try and think about the things that you do in your life where, honestly, if you start at 7 o'clock in the morning and you take a break and you find that it's 8 o'clock in the evening because you've been working the whole day and you have no idea where the time went. And I know that I can honestly say, without a shadow of a doubt, that one of those things, for me at least, is working on computers. It's just one of those things, all right? Working on computers is one of the things that I just love to do. I remember I was doing this whole change about my PC, putting it into a different case, and I spent the whole day just having an amazing time doing it. And I would have a bet that Jamie feels the same way about that. Isn't that true, Jamie? Like when you get into a project, you can lose track of time if you're doing something like that.
I get into fixing a computer, I can just lose the whole day. You know, you start on it early in the morning, and next thing you know, it's 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, and you're like, where'd the time go? And you're still beating your head against the computer because you haven't figured out what's wrong with it yet. So, yeah, I can get lost totally in a computer.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. The other thing that I get lost in is studying people. I could get lost forever in studying behavior patterns. I remember sitting in a park once and just watching people walk past and just looking at how people interact with each other. And for me, that's so fascinating, just watching people and how they interact. because I remember I used to have these talks with a buddy of mine saying, I bet he's just been fired, or I bet this person just broke up, or I bet this person got a promotion, and we were trying to figure out stuff like that. Maybe Pops or Katie could talk about something that they get lost in time of, and maybe you guys in the comments who are watching, you could give us some examples of stuff that you can really lose time over. Maybe.
I want to go ahead and share Maria's real quick. Is that she's in the kitchen. That's what we know about Maria. She loves to cook and she loves to bake. So she says she loses her time, and then she was saying no joke that when she's on a Zoom with me, sometimes a couple hours goes by and we're just like, oh, look at the time, we got a couple more hours because we're working together, just like a little mastermind or something. But that being said, where I usually lose my time also is kind of the same thing where I'm connecting. Right, when I'm connecting with people, when I'm hanging out with Maria, when I'm hanging out with Lori, when I'm hanging out with like Olivia or Dave or Jamie, it's like I could spend hours on that and just like not realize that a couple hours spent by, because I just love doing that. Whether it's like helping them set their blog up or just kind of chit chat, and just to kind of snowball off of that. The other thing that I love to do is I love to create things. I like to completely all of a sudden I have this idea where I want to create a funnel. Right, I just love doing that. I like to create the content for it. I love to think about how I'm going to market it. I just love to maybe go off and do videos for it or something like that, just to make it like a complete funnel, and then start connecting with people on Facebook to see where I can plug that in when I'm doing my marketing. So that's where I lose myself, is creating things, like whether it's creating a banner or something for somebody's blog or something. So that's where I lose myself.
That's great. And Pops, you got something you want to share? Maybe something we don't know about you, where you can lose time and where you don't know where the time goes.
I get lost in videos and how-tos, and then I try to turn around and do the same. Because there's a lot of great information and how-tos on YouTube that you can turn around and make your own. You just take that information, and I'm kind of a visual guy. I like to read, but I like the visual stuff too. I kind of do both. And when I start getting wrapped up into that and taking notes, man, it just flies by. So I love doing that. And I have more time now because I have retired from a real job and traveling. As long as I have a connection, man, I'm on that. Really just gets my juices flowing and my mind going. Love it.
Yeah, it really is. It's amazing how that when you find something that really grabs your interest, you can lose time in it. And it's one of those things. I mean, I'm also a practical guy. I love to figure stuff out. And I remember seeing this video on how to turn your car into where you can combine water and hydrogen, or you can take hydrogen, split it up, hydrogen and oxygen, and you can get your car to run with it. And that just fascinated me, and I spent so much time trying to work that out and figure out how to actually go about doing this. And it took up so much time, and it just enveloped me. And so that, I mean, it's just the type of thing that I love, and it's kind of like I'm getting into this vaping, mixing different flavors. I'm discovering now how I can make flavors pop. I can combine things. I'm getting into the whole logistics on how to make these vape machines. If you don't mind me saying real quick, that it kind of what you're just saying about the vapes and creating new flavors and tinkering with stuff kind of goes along with your computer stuff. It makes sense. It's just that's who you are. I think that's perfect. Yeah. But now, there are some people out there you may be watching and thinking, gee, I mean, that's great. I don't really have something that I'm really passionate about. And that could be true. All right. But I also want you to understand that every single person on the planet is passionate about something. And these next steps are going to help break this down so that you can figure out what it is you're passionate about. And so this next step, all right, so we've done the first one, and that is to track down where you can lose time in and to write a list of those things. And if that list is pretty small, this goes into the next step. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to write down, I want you to go into your bank account, all right? I want you to go into your credit card statements. I want you to go ahead and take a real good look at your credit card statements. And I want you to itemize and write down the thing that you spend the most amount of money on a consistent basis. All right, now you might be thinking, well, what good is that going to do? Well, it's going to bring out a lot of things about yourself, all right? It could be that the fact that you're spending, I mean, here's an example, right? I spoke about, and I keep referring to this vape thing, right? When I was smoking, I was spending an inordinate amount of time on cigarettes, truly a tremendous amount on cigarettes. I mean, I was a chain smoker, and I would smoke all the time. I think if everybody knew on this panel, there wasn't a time when I didn't have a cigarette in my mouth because that's what I was doing all the time. But I was spending so much time on cigarettes. But when you look at it on a piece of paper, all right, it kind of shows you where your focus is. All right, so maybe you spend a tremendous amount of time renting movies, or a tremendous amount of time watching politics, or a tremendous amount of time watching the news, or a tremendous amount of time doing housework, or doing buying cleaning items. Or you might find that you're experimenting with different cleaning items, and you're finding that you just want to find the best one out there. I want you to go and look and see how much money you spend on a particular item on a consistent basis, all right? Not the most amount, like stuff like rent and electricity and water and that sort of thing, but I'm talking about stuff where you are buying, but you're not really aware of the fact that you're doing this because you like it so much, all right? So maybe you buy a lot of, give me some examples, guys. Give me some examples of what people may spend on a regular basis that could potentially show you that you may have an interest in it.
Since we started traveling, actually before that, we started getting into organic foods and grass-fed beef and whatever, holistic stuff. And it's fun to experiment on the kind of things that we can make out of it. So food is kind of a passion, yet it's not an over obsessive thing, but it's just so that we can try to figure out a meal that's going to be different and out of the ordinary, because I really don't like going to restaurants because I have no idea what kind of food I'm eating, even though today is an exception, but tomorrow and the next couple of days. But I like doing that. So I do spend a lot more money, but by the same token, I don't buy junk food anymore. So for me, it balances out on expense. And I'm eating healthier, and boy, it's just great. And some of the stuff that we come up with is so delicious. It's unbelievable. It's something I never would have thought of. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's a great example. It's because perhaps you want to find something that gives you more energy, where you can actually figure out a meal that doesn't cost as much, but it gives you a lot of energy, or it sustains you for a long period of time. And that's just an example of that, which you could look at and say, hey, you know what? Maybe that's something I'm passionate about. It certainly is something everybody could look at. You may be thinking, well, gee, I don't really have a passion or something I'm really passionate about, but I certainly do spend a lot of time and money on this particular item. Maybe you're a guy or maybe you're a woman that likes movies, and you watch a tremendous amount of stuff you go out to the cinema a lot. Maybe you're watching those things, and the thing that you actually spend a lot of time is analyzing and reviewing movies. Maybe that's something you're passionate about. And Maria was just saying she spends a lot of time in the kitchen. She obviously spends a certain amount of money on buying items, and that's definitely a passion of hers. And certainly for those moms out there who are single moms with a certain amount of kids, or you're a stay-at-home mom and you work at home, and it's just part of who you are because you love doing it, and that could be your passion. All right, it's definitely something to think about. Look at Ricky. Okay, Ricky, if you're watching this right now, Ricky, one of the things I know he loves doing is fixing stuff. All right, so he loves fixing things, and he spends a lot of time buying things to fix items. And so one of the things that he's actually incorporated into his business is the fact that he's a handy guy, a handyman, and he goes out fixing things, and people call him all the time because that's something he's passionate about. you know, maybe, you know, Jamie or Katie, you want to add to this, or something you can think of as an example? And we have silence.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck. I like walking a lot in the woods, and we like taking pictures, and we can share them on Facebook and other people. We get a lot of engagement that way.
Yeah.
And actually, it kind of redirects them into finding out what we do for a business, so we can integrate that into our business. And that is a huge transgression for other people. So immediately we have made a connection with people by the pictures that they like. I'm on Twitter, and a lot of the people that I've made connections with on Twitter are photographers because of the pictures that I post. And it's amazing. I use my phone, but some of them came back and say, wow, that's an amazing photo you just made. And they're professional photographers. I'm using my phone. It's amazing. I love it. So I have so many pictures. I'll never use them all, but I just love taking pictures of things out in nature.
Yeah, it really is amazing. I mean, I have a buddy of mine, Bruno. For those of you who know, buddy of mine, Bruno, he boards with me. He stays here, and he's disabled. He has spastic cerebral palsy, and I was trying to think about something he could possibly do to generate some sort of income. And I was thinking, what is it that he spends a lot of money on? What is it that he actually spends money on? Because, you know, obviously I'm not looking at his credit card statements or anything, but he speaks about this a lot because I'm here and he buys stuff and post comes to the house. And one of the things that he does is he spends a tremendous amount of money on items that help his life become more easier. So he's constantly buying braces. He's constantly buying compression socks. He's constantly buying, you know, because when he takes a shower, he needs to buy certain things that help him reach, you know, like his back or his arm, or he's got to have certain items. And I'm thinking, you know, that is a perfect example of somebody who, that's something he could developably have a passion for. You know, finding things that are helpful for people with disabilities. And this is what I mean about going through your bank statements, going through your credit card statements, and figuring out what it is that you spend a lot of money on. It could jumpstart a process in your brain that could really think about what it is you could be passionate about, so that you could actually turn it into a business. All right. So that is number 2. All right. Now, number 3, and this is a little bit obscure, but I want you to think about this. All right. What is it? Here's number 3. I want you to think about the thing that you fear judgment on. All right, I'll say that again. I want you to think about something that you do that you fear judgment on. And the reason I say fear judgment on is try and think about something that's very personal to you, that's very that you keep it to yourself, but it's important to you. And there's a lot of fear about sharing it with the world because you fear that you may be judged. All right, you fear that things, you know, perhaps people would think down on you, think that you are not really worth anything because you went through this experience. And off the top of my head, you know, I can think of someone like Chris Pius, who we all know and love, and who is just booming with his own business at the moment. And if you're watching Chris, we wish everything of the best. But one of the things that was very close and dear to his heart that he feared judgment on was the fact that there was a time in his life when he went to prison. There was a time in his life where he fell on hard times and was accused falsely about something that he didn't do. And he actually took that and he turned it into a great positive. And now he shares that with people. And it's something that inspires people. Maybe you keep a journal. Maybe you write short stories that are close to you, but you don't want to share it with the world because you might think they're stupid. You know, I want you to understand that things that you fear that are close to you are the things that people love. All right, think about J.K. Rowling writing all of those books. She started at 35. She was a single mom with kids, and at the age of 35, she started writing these Harry Potter books, and she made an absolute fortune. And I can guarantee you that was something she kept to her heart, and then she shared it with the world. So think of the things that you fear being judged on, and that could really help you develop a passion about something. All right, and maybe there's somebody on the panel who wants to share something about that. Just as an example, I'll just share something to get the ball rolling. One of the things that's very close to my heart is this idea of families going through the idea of their, like, I'm very passionate about this. People get kidnapped. When kids get kidnapped, and families go through this terrible ordeal. And the reason it's so personal to me is because when I was a kid, I was almost kidnapped. I had somebody holding my hand and dragging me off. If it weren't for the fact that my parents taught me, if somebody is taking you to a place where you don't want to go, just scream your lungs out. That's what they taught me from very small age. So one of the things that I love writing about and that I'm passionate about is this awareness of that. And when I was dragged, I just started screaming and screaming and screaming until this person let go. And fortunately, I got away. But how many kids don't have that? Well, that was very personal to me. That was very, that was very personal to me. And, I kept that to myself for the longest period of time until I made it known on my blog. I started talking about this, making it part of who I am. Think about stuff like that. All right. So I don't know if anybody's got any ideas or they want to speak. Katie, maybe you've got something that was personal to you that you were feared being judged on, that you can share with us. No pressure. If you don't want to, that's fine.
Right. Yeah. I was just going to say, I was so general that I wrote down my goals. Like, I'm afraid to share my goals because that fear of being judged for that. But as you were talking about something that's more personal, I'd have to think about it because I don't know. If I think of it, I can share with it, but
Sure.
I have to really dig deep,
I mean, that's the whole idea. This isn't about solving the issue now, but as you're watching this, I want you to try and think about the things that you keep to yourself, things that you don't share. All right, maybe, I knew somebody that a long time ago, he loved love stories. All right, he was a sucker for a good love story. And that was something that people really loved about him, the fact that he had this side. He says, I love romantic movies, and that's something I always do. And I'm thinking, gee, that must have taken quite a bit of courage to actually admit to a lot of people. And one of the things that I used to have a problem admitting, but I realized, hey, you know what? It's okay to share with us. And one of the things that I love that I share with people is sometimes I just love a good bubblegum pop song. All right. So I just love that type of thing. I don't know why, but it just gets it's just great listening to a good bubblegum pop song. All right. It's just something that I'm not afraid to share with people anymore. Because that's the thing that makes you endearing to other people. They're like, that's a side of you that I haven't seen before. And so maybe we've got some comments here. I'm just trying to read them.
I was raised in a family where talking about what went on in the family or just talking about yourself was not like the right thing to do or a normal thing to do. So I never used to say a lot about my feelings or what's been going on in my life. Actually, until you guys started the workshop, that's what, and of course, doing videos I was deathly afraid of doing that. Of course, when you're doing a video, you got to be yourself. You have to talk about yourself to a certain degree. So I would just like freeze up because it's in my brain being brought up in a secretive type, among ourselves in the family we would, but we just always taught you don't talk about outside stuff, family stuff on the outside world. That's just the way I was brought up. And so now I've opened up a lot since the workshop, though. It's freed me to be able to be myself and show more of myself. I'm still working on that. And I've actually had some coaching to help me bring myself out a little better. And it's like a whole new world. You know, I can talk about myself and be myself and actually talk like here and in videos where I've never been able to do that before. It's just a whole new transition and a whole new way of life for me. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and you know, we were sharing something. Actually, Katie shared this with this group about somebody who decided that he was going to go through 100 rejections, 100 things that he feared because he wanted to get over the idea of being rejected. So it's very funny if you ever get a chance to watch this. If you Google this on YouTube after you've watched us, but if you go and look up this guy. He decided he was going to video himself doing 100 things where he was experiencing rejection. So the very first video he makes, he goes up to a stranger and asks them for $100, and they just say no, and he runs away because it's so embarrassing and he feared the rejection. And the second video he made was to go to a donut store and ask the lady to make up some donuts in the form of the Olympic rings. Now, he wasn't expecting the person to say yes. He expected a no because he was trying to get used to it. But this lady at this donut shop actually went out and made the rings for her, you know, like made the rings for him and took time doing it. And this video went viral. And, you know, it was just one of those things. It's amazing. That when you overcome your fears and your people judging you, that you can actually get a lot done. I was just saying to these guys here, I was doing some research, going to a store, and the first thing I say to this guy is, tell me, how much profit do you make on your items that you sell in the vaping? And I didn't realize what I was saying because I should have framed it in with, I'm doing research, but it sounded like I was just being very nosy. And so it was a very blatant, rude way of asking. But I got information out of it because he just gave some information away quickly. And even that little scary moment, I got some results, all right, and on how to do research. And so this is what I'm saying. Fear is a very important factor in figuring out what it is you're passionate about, all right, in any way. All right, have a look at all the fears that you have, that you keep close to your heart, and what you can use it to actually find out your passion. Because believe me, there are plenty things that you fear and that you keep close to you. Everybody has them. And what you can do, I mean, I know of a lady that went through a very traumatic experience in her life, very, very traumatic. She was a victim of rape, and she kept it to herself for the longest time. But then she finally started to share it with people, and people started to reach out to her and say, thank you so much for speaking up. Ricky's mom was a widow, and she started to share this experience with people, and people started to reach out. Because the first time Ricky suggested it to her, she was like, why would anybody, no one's going to want to hear my story. And she started to do this, and she's turned it into a way where she can generate a bit of income from it. And it's called Widows Wednesday. And she makes a video even to this day, even though she's remarried, she still uses it as a way to connect with people and to have a business type thing that she loves. It's not work. I can guarantee you it's not work for her. And the last point that I want to talk about is, and this may seem like an obvious one, is what makes your heart race? What gets your heart racing? What is it that just gets you fired up? You know, maybe it's an extreme sport. Maybe it's an argument. All right, I know people that love arguments. They actually run to them. If they see conflict, they run to it. And they could turn that into conflict resolution, you know. But what is it that gets your heart racing? You know, one of the things that I love, a very big passion of mine, is I read biographies of criminals, but not just any criminals. What gets my heart racing is I read stories about people like Lenny McLean, Roy Shore, people that actually stood for something, even though they were involved in the criminal world. And that's certainly part of what I write about. It gets my heart racing when I read about these people who go through these extraordinary times. There's a guy by the name of Charles Bronson, not the movie, an actual guy called Charles Bronson, and he was involved with the crime syndicate, and he's been in prison for 60 odd years. He's still in prison today, but it's just an amazing subject. And that's what I love reading about it. That's another thing that gets my heart racing. You know, maybe there's something you can mention here in the comments to get your heart racing. We'd love to hear about it. Hey, Wonder Wit's here. The Wonder Wit is here. So you guys want to share something?
Yeah, I'll tell you what gets my heart racing. I'm sitting at a deer stand at 6 o'clock in the morning, and that beautiful animal comes down in front of me. It doesn't matter if it's a doe or a buck or a monster. You know, my heart just starts racing. I get all shaky and nervous, start sweating. You know, and that's one of the things that I'm passionate about is going out and deer hunting. You know, I know there's people that are animal rights activists and don't believe in it, you know, and I don't do it for the sport of it. I do it to put meat in the freezer. So.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it, man. It's certainly that gets your heart racing. It's part of who you are, and you're a gun collector as well, right?
Yeah, I collect guns, but I'll tell you another thing that, you know, I'm really passionate about, and a lot of people don't know this about me, is I have a Harley Davidson motorcycle. You know, Pops and Katie know about it because they've seen it when I was here, but there's no feeling like being free, like going down the highway, sitting back on that with the hair or the wind running through your hair, and you just feel free at that moment in time. You know, it's, you know, and it makes my heart pump, you know, because it's exhilarating just to feel that moment of freedom.
That is amazing. That is amazing. You know, I'm suddenly looking at the time, and it's like 7 minutes to, and we're going to be closing up soon. So I did say that I was going to give you an actual formula you could use to find out for business. So I'm going to give you 3 ways you can take this information and turn it into a business, all right? And the first one is this, all right? So you want to write this down. You want to look for credibility in what you're doing, okay? And the way that you look for credibility in what you're doing are all of the things I spoke about, but also things that you've asked your friends, ask your family about things that they know that you are good at, things that you know that you are credible at, things that you can do and that you're confident in. All right, that's the first thing. You want to find out something that you're confident in. And obviously these things that I spoke about before are a way that you can actually start the process about looking for that credibility. All right, that's the first thing. The second thing is find out what it is that you can talk about effortlessly on a Saturday night. All right, if you were just with your friends and your family and the subject came up, what is it that you could actually talk about for hours on end because you just love it so much? All right, what is that thing? All right, try and think about it. What is the thing that you would, and here's another one, is to actually pay. You would actually pay to do this. If you were put in that position, you would actually pay money to actually do this. And that's part of the reason we invest in training and we invest in products, because we love it so much. We are willing to pay for the privilege of doing what we enjoy, right? That's what makes this whole thing enjoyable. And the third thing, and this is important, and especially for the business aspect of it, is where is the demand? Where is the demand if you're an American? But where is the demand for what you are doing? And I'll tell you something. It's far easier to find a demand than to create a demand. It is far easier to find out places online where there is a demand for it. And this is where you need to do a little bit of research. So when you found out all of that stuff before, you want to go on sites like ClickBank. You want to go on sites like Udemy. You want to go on sites like Amazon. You want to go on sites like eBay. You want to go, well, not eBay, but sites where you can become an affiliate with, all right? And even go on YouTube platforms, go on video site platforms where you can find a demand for a particular area that you're interested in. And once you have your credibility, what you could talk about for hours, and where there is a demand or a demand, if you're an American, that's when you can actually turn what you love into a business. So a very quick example of this would be Ricky's mom, who talks to widows, right? So Ricky's mom is a Christian. She reads a lot of spiritual books, and that get her through this tough time. And so what she started doing was just reviewing books that she had read. And there's a site out there called Amazon where she becomes an affiliate, and she reviews a book, and she puts it on below her video, and people go ahead and they click on that video, and they click on that link, and they go and buy the book. And that's what I mean about finding a demand, because she's found a small little niche where she can use to utilize her business. And that's the, this is why it is so important to find something you're passionate about. And here's the interesting thing: when you start getting into marketing and learning how to do that, that's when the floodgates open. That's when you realize there's a whole new world out there where you start to love being a marketer. You start to love the psychology of speaking to people. You start investing in books that help you. And that's where I said, find out something where you're actually willing to pay for, where you're actually willing, you would pay to do what you do. And that's why when people contact me and say, Dave, how long before I can make my money back? They haven't already found their passion. Because the truth is that when I failed miserably for 7 years, because I was trying to find a free way to make money online, only when I started to buy training, when I started to buy products, when I started to invest money in things that I love, that I would pay for, I became a very poor accountant when it came to how much money I was spending on my business, because I wanted to learn. And if you asked me how much money I spent, I couldn't give you an exact figure, because I know that I spent way more money than I should have. I spent way more money than I should have. When I finally made that first sale, because I was doing something I loved, it was worth more money than I had spent ever, because I learned a skill. I learned a way of communicating with the world that just drove me to keep on keeping on. And this is why it is so important to find out what you are passionate about, so that you can do something you love. All right. And, so look for the credibility, what it is that people say that you're good at, and go back 10 years, go back 5 years or 10 years and find out what it is that you are good at. All right. Then once you know that, think about how you can actually talk about it for hours on a Saturday night. And hence, one of the reasons we talk about subjects like this on a Monday, and why Pops and Katie are doing theirs on a Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. And, right after that is Ricky, his hangout. And, you've got also Maria and Sonia doing their hangout on Take Action Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. I got it right. And then we have Jamie Shaw doing his on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we got Wisdom Wednesday on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Why do you think we do this? Is because we're passionate about what we do. Nobody pays us. Nobody pays us. We do this because we love it. We do it because we're passionate about it. And we do it. And when people look at us and they go, are you still doing that same thing? And they have no idea why. It's because we have found what we love to do. And this is why it does not work. This is why we choose. We choose when we want to play, and we work because we love it. I mean, wouldn't that be a good thing that you could turn around not just playing because you love it, but you choose to play because you want to do something else, because you just want to do something different, and you love to work. I mean, isn't that a little bit weird? That's topsy-turvy. But with that being said, we are on the hour. We're going over the hour, and I just wanted to know if maybe Pops, Jamie, or Katie wanted to say one last word before we close.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for being with us. And remember, Dave was saying, you. If you're looking at somebody else and you think you might want to do that, you already know pretty much what you're passionate about. Don't try to follow somebody else's passion. You'll be wasting a lot of time. You'll find it in yourself.
That's right.
Follow those steps. See ya. Thanks.
Awesome. Anybody else?
I was just going to say, just to kind of the opposite of what Pops says, kinda, is that I actually had to follow somebody else's passion for just a moment, in order to understand where I needed to go. So if you're feeling that maybe you're just kind of still trying to figure the stuff out, that's okay. But yes, always know what you want and what your passion is and plan your strengths. That's important.
Actually, that's a very good distinction. And one thing I did forget to say, it's not that you're doing the opposite to Pops. Pops is exactly right. You don't want to take on somebody else's passion. But what you do want to do is you want to model off somebody else's. You want to model something. So if you see somebody in whatever niche you're in, go and find somebody that does something similar to you and model off what they're doing. Like, how many videos they make, what content do they do they use a certain funnel, what are they using, model off that thing. It's exactly what Katie is saying, and use that for your own business. So that's another step I did leave out, and thank you for bringing that up. I was actually thinking, gee, how am I going to work this in their end, and you just did it for me. So Jamie, you want to say something a lot before we leave?
Just all the thing I want to say is you're the guru of your own life. Don't worry about what other people think and what you think of other people. Worry about you, because the only person you need to impress is you.
That's 100% right. And with that, we'll leave you. We'll love you, and make sure that you get all of those. You tune in and watch and show support for Katie and Pops tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 1 o'clock for me in the morning. I'm certainly going to do my best to be there. I can't wait to see this thing and this launch. I'm just so excited for them. So make sure you get there. And we will see you same time next week. You have an amazing time. And for those of you who are on our workshop on Saturday, we'll see you there as well. Have an amazing, amazing week. Cheers.